Welcome to Numbers Don't Lie. I'm Brad Pinzer, and I have my co-host here, Janelle Sikora.
Hey everyone, I'm Janelle. Thanks for joining us again this morning. So, Brad, I'm super excited about our guest today, Leslie Alvarez. She is a business owner. She owns a community management association called Community ACE. Leslie is also a speaker, a public speaker all over the country. Her story is mind blowing. And I also love the fact that Leslie has dogs. She and I chatted before this because we both are huge dog lovers, and I frankly don't mind if they bark in the background because that's my life and we all work from home now. So that's all good. What we are going to talk about today is this is part of our series on helping accountants really get inside the mind of their ideal client who is a small business owner. So we want to help them gain that understanding of what's important to small business owners when it comes to the work that they do. So we are going to talk to Leslie today and get inside her mind a little bit. And before we do, Leslie, can you tell us a little bit more about your business, what you do, what your company structure looks like whether you have employees or not, or any sort of growth plans you have, what's your long-term outlook, and if you have an exit plan.
Sure. Absolutely. So thanks, first of all, for having me today. I really appreciate it. Guys, y'all are awesome. And yes, the dogs will no doubt bark and annoy me. It's like, ooh, it's like when the baby cries. Ooh. But I am a startup. So I'm a community association management firm here in South Florida. I manage high-rise condos, condominium, garden-style condos, townhomes, HOAs, and I actually started my homework in starting the business last year, but really just got laser focused on it this spring, and just signed my first couple of contracts and such. So I'm still in real startup mode. So just like the entrepreneurs and the business owners that you're talking to and talk right now, like I'm in that stage too, still trying to figure it all out. But I also do speak. You mentioned that on motivational speaking and overcoming life's adversities. So I've got a couple of things that I do, and that keeps me challenged and constantly evolving with a little bit of everything involved. But I do full service management. So whether it's not just going out managing the property, meeting with vendors, it's also board governance, making sure that the meetings are being run effectively, that we're complying with state statutes. And I also include accounting services. So I also provide accounting services to these associations. But then I'm also a client for an accounting firm, right? So
Right.
I'm a little all over the place there, but accounting is right up my alley. I love a good Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd rather look at an Excel spreadsheet or go to the dentist. They're both rank right up there or right down there for me.
I love a formula that feeds into another formula. Nothing like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers and spreadsheets and data. So,
This is why we're good partners, Brad. I like words, you like numbers, I like
yeah.
strategy, you like the technology. So Leslie, do you tell us a little bit about what's your vision, right? What's your vision for your company over the next few years? Do you have an exit strategy?
Well, I'll tell you to start with, I don't have an exit strategy yet because if I start talking about my exit strategy, then my clients will be like, we're not hiring you because they want
Right.
long-term relationships. But
Mm.
I will say, in my career, I'm, in my mid 40s and I've been in the business in this industry for 26 years. I've been told since, for 20 years that I should start my own management firm. But it just wasn't something that was feasible for me. I was a single mother, needed my guaranteed paycheck, and that just, gave me the comfort that I needed to do what I needed to do. Hi there. Good morning. Yes, she woke up.
Oh, what a cutie.
Um, this is the other one, the real yapper.
Yeah.
But starting this company and getting involved in it, I have a 5-year plan that I want to be statewide within 5 years.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
want to market. I want an office in every, or at least a portfolio of clients in every market here in South Florida, or in Florida, not South Florida, but in Florida, within 5 years. I still have at least 10, 15, 20 years left in me for working. So I'm not quite at the exit plan yet. I know that the exit plan will happen. I know that part of the reason why I wanted to do this was because I wanted more freedom in my life as my daughter and my son get older and start to have children. And they don't live here with me locally. My daughter doesn't. I wanted to be able to be mobile and travel more and have more freedom to my life. And that's where this, came in. So I'm not quite at the exit plan yet. But I know, it'll come, in 10 or 15 years.
So Leslie, let me ask you, what gave you the confidence to go out on your own? Like, because you were in this, you needed a paycheck and all that kind of stuff and guaranteed kind of income, and then you made this transition.
Wow. So, a combination of different things. I just think a lot of personal growth. I've had a lot of challenges in my life and realized, again, that, I was putting in 60 hours a week for someone who I could be gone tomorrow and I'm replaced. And it doesn't matter what I was doing for them. And the reality of it is my family is the one that matters. And I really want to spend time with them. And so being that my children are both mostly independent. My son still lives with me, but he, assists in the cost of the house and everything. He could be independent if he wanted to be. Knowing that they're mostly independent and that I also had him at home assisting financially, really made me feel more comfortable that that's really where I need to be. I really am ready. 26 years in this business, reporting to somebody else. I literally started working when I was 15. I graduated high school at the age of 15 and I started working in a law firm. And so I've been working for someone literally since I was 15. And, I've always been entrepreneurial, doing little side things along the way. I've sold just about everything, Pampered Chef, Tupperware, you name it, along the way. But it was just time. It was time.
Mhm.
And for that second half of my career, I knew that I needed to do something different with my life.
So we hear this a lot, like with entrepreneurs, it's all about time freedom and financial freedom. It's the same with us. And what I would like to hear after being working for someone for so many years, and now you've gone out on your own. That's a mix of exhilarating and terrifying. What is the first word that comes to mind when I say the word accountant?
Numbers,
Okay.
money. Yeah.
Okay. And
Numbers and
so
money.
So now you have a little bit of a different perspective, right? Because you also offer accounting services. How do you view the role of an accountant in your business?
So, I feel that accountants have this persona, and I'm not going to say it's wrong because it's very real for most, of being a bean counter,
Yep.
being introverted. They're not the happy hour group. They're crunching numbers in the back. They're not the ones that are socializing with the rest of the teammates at the end of the day. And they're number crunchers. And in my industry, that is true with our accounting teams. And it's actually one of the detriments I feel of my competitors, because my competitors' accounting teams hide behind email and tickets. They
Interesting.
don't answer the phone when the client calls. You send an email to accounting, or you send a ticket through Zendesk to accounting. And then the accountant responds back. And that's the perfect way for a introverted accountant to stay introverted and not have a relationship with the client. And in my business, it's all about the relationship with the client. And if you allow your accounting team to do that, you are going to lose the client every single time. The
Yeah.
client wants to be able to pick up the phone and talk to the accountant and ask a quick accountant, what does this mean on my financial statement? Can you fix this? How do we want to address that? And they want someone to talk to that's sociable.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I think that, that's for me, that's the huge part in me. I'm not doing ticketing systems. I'm making sure that my accountants are available, accessible to the client. If they want to have a Zoom meeting with them, they can go straight to the accountant and meet with the accountant and ask the questions. And the accountant has to be a little more sociable. and willing to get out of their box and have that meeting with the client. But what I saw for so many years is those accountants hide in their little cubicle and they don't want to interact with the client, and they expect the front facing manager or regional director or executive or whoever we are on the other side in operations to address the accounting questions. And I'm not an accountant. So things get lost in the translation and it just creates a whole service issue. So I'm all about giving back the connectivity between the client and my accountant. And I think that that's a huge thing that has to happen.
It's interesting because you're hitting on something that's really key, which is all about the relationship, right? And I think that there are a number of accountants that still like to they're introverted. They're not they're not salespeople for a reason, right? They don't want to go out there and work directly with people as much, but that relationship building is so important. And, as Brad and I work with a lot of firms who are wanting to sell more outsourced CFO services, advisory services, CAS services, the relationship that you build with your business owner client is paramount. And I think that without that, you can't really educate the client on the fact that you are an integral part of their business growth, right? It's interesting because sometimes we'll ask about, when you think of strategic growth, who do you think of as your most valuable partners? And it's funny because sometimes you hear, well, business coaches, or, you hear a variety of things, but honestly, a good outsourced CFO or a good accountant that can build relationships should be that strategic partner for your business. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Everything hinges on the financials, right? We're not in business just to make friends. We're in business to make money, and you need to make sure that you're profitable. So that accountant is absolutely instrumental.
Yeah, and just before we dig into that a little, I just wanted to go back to what we were just talking about, and Leslie made a great point. I mean, it's really people want to be able to just pick up the phone and talk to people, because I know that we've all been frustrated. Like I'll even we have vendors that we work with, and I'll just try to go through their system and just use the system, and then some of them have these AI tools, these chat bots and stuff. And sometimes it's hard to even know that it's AI, right? So I just had this experience where I was doing that. And at first I didn't really know. And then I kept asking this question. It's like the same answer. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, this has got to be AI. So I got frustrated. But I do have the owner's number and ways to contact him. So I did reach out to him, and he helped me, and I resolved it. But I think as we have these tools and they get better and better, they may be sufficient. They may be able to handle lots of things, maybe not necessarily with accounting so much, but it could. But what I wanted to get at was, I think that that human relationship and touch is going to become increasingly more important, because we're going to lose that as this tech gets added and gets better and better and better. So I think that there's something there beyond just like what we're saying right now. I think it's it's going to increase, and it seems like these accounting firms need to find a way to have somebody in the firm that's knowledgeable, that can dedicate their time to, this personal thing. And then maybe there's other people behind the scenes that are actually doing the work. But I think, there's a lot there than just kind of like the surface of what we discussed earlier.
Yeah. I mean, it all kind of comes down to that relationship, right? And AI is a thing, right? And it shouldn't ever be, an excuse to another excuse, to hide behind a screen and not have that human touch, because AI will never replace the value of the human relationship. I firmly believe that. I mean, I think it's got its place, but when you think of, kind of going back to you as a business owner and the accountants that you work with, what are the services that when you set up your business, you thought, this is what I need an accountant for?
Well, again, like I said, I do full accounting for my clients. So,
Right.
I mean, I have to have accounting teams for that. I have to have AP clerks. I have to have accounts receivable clerks. I have to have all of those segregation of duties and such. And then we
Mhm.
also have independent audit firms that we partner with that come
Mhm.
in and audit our work so that they can, assure the client that everything has been done to standard. So I'm full service there. Now, as a business owner, setting up and making sure that I'm compliant with all of the laws and such. I'm like, I know I owe payroll taxes. I know I owe reemployment taxes. But how do I make sure the reporting is met? Right, because I'm busy servicing the client. Making sure that the service that my own company stays compliant is a whole other thing, and that's where a good controller or accounting firm can assist me with.
Yeah, just navigating the complexities of your business. And there are a lot of business owners out there that are in an industry that has a lot of regulation. And
Mhm.
you want to be out there doing what you do, not having to manage all of that,
Exactly.
minutia and administrative stuff. And this is what accountants are so good at. Um, how often do you like, how important is education to you in terms of your accountant coming to you saying, hey, Leslie, we originally structured your business entity as X. You've grown to this. We need to maybe reconsider restructuring your business. Or, hey, Leslie, looking at your quarterly financials, I've noticed this trend. Have you ever thought about how important is that to you?
Oh, supremely, right? Because again, I can get caught in the minutia of growing the business
Mm-hmm.
and, know that I'm making money, but not necessarily, know how I could maximize in certain ways. And so that experience and those pieces of feedback are instrumental in keeping me aligned with the growth plans that I have.
That's awesome. What about talk to me a little bit about price sensitivity and like your own willingness to invest in like whether it's an outsourced CFO or your accountant. Tell me a little bit about that. Sometimes we've spoken to business owners who are like, wait, I just started with the basics. I think all I needed was a bookkeeper and someone to do my taxes. And they would oftentimes say that because they were very price sensitive. What that comes down to is just they're looking at a transaction versus a partnership. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about that and, price sensitivity there.
I mean, I think every business owner as a startup has to start somewhere, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whether you start with that bookkeeper and you grow into something bigger, I think, but you need to forecast and you need to come up with that plan. If you want that growth, you've got to come up with that plan, long term there. So personally, I have a bookkeeper,
Mm-hmm.
controller, who is an employee and assists me right now internally, both for myself and my client. And then eventually I will transition that into, once I've gotten sufficient new clients to be able to withstand the additional expense, I'll transition that into a separate company
Mm-hmm.
position versus my client accounting. So my client accounting will be its own separate department, and my corporate accounting would be doing its own thing. Whether that's outsourced or whether that's an internal department, I haven't decided yet. But that's,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have to have that separate arm there.
Awesome.
So I have a question, Leslie, for your clients where you're providing the accounting services. So for them, they're outsourcing it. What like how hard is it to convince them to do it, like to outsource it versus maybe they hire somebody in house? Because I know like where I live, I'm in a community. We have an in house accountant. We have a few people that help out there. It's always kind of an issue, if you will, with how it's being done and all that kind of stuff. So, like, do you get pushback on that? Is it like what kind of concerns do they have about outsourcing it versus doing it in house? Is it
Most associations outsource because it's more cost effective. They're not usually large enough to justify an accounting staff of their own. There are some associations that are fully self managed and they do everything internally and they choose to do it that way because they feel that the level of service is going to be greater. But sometimes they give up some of the quality and the expertise, because they can't afford that high level controller or CFO. They've just basically got a bookkeeper and a clerical person. And the bookkeeper isn't a CPA, isn't, with lots of, finance experience and able to guide them in certain, decisions. But again, it's all about the level of service that they expect. There's an association that I got approached the other day to see if I could help them find an in-house bookkeeper. And I said, well, I don't have anybody, but I could do the bookkeeping for you. And they said, no, we really want an in-house, because then that person can help answer homeowner phone calls when I'm on vacation. So it isn't even really that they wanted a bookkeeper in-house. They didn't care about that. They just simply wanted the extra person in the office to be able to cover when people are out. And so they felt that was a 2-for-1 kind of deal. And that's why they want that bookkeeper. Well, they're only willing to pay $50,000 for a bookkeeper. They're not going to get a qualified CPA or a, segregation of duties that are required, because this person will be making deposits, posting, paying bills, and also reconciling the bank statements and making the financial statements. And true accounting doesn't allow you to have the same person do all of those tasks. So they're giving up other things so that they can get the extra body in the office just to assist with staffing and answering the phone.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I think it doesn't sound to me like a great solution for them, but I mean, I can understand how businesses,
But
make those
again,
decisions.
if they have to hire a $50,000 additional office admin person to sit there and staff and assist in the office, and then they turn around and also outsource accounting, your dues are going to go up. So it's going to cost you more as a member to be able to justify and pay for those two things. So they find it more cost effective to consolidate the two responsibilities together.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, definitely, they're saving money there. I get that, but there's quality though. They'll suffer somehow. They're paying for it some way or another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always, yeah.
That's all I'm saying there. Yeah.
What would you, in your, at the stage you're at, a new startup business, what would you say your two biggest goals are for the next 12 months?
My two biggest goals are to be in the black.
Okay. Fair. That's an awesome goal. Yeah.
Be in the black and bring on at least one additional full-time employee than what I have right now. So right now I have my son is assisting me as a manager. And then I have my part-time controller who's assisting me right now. So I would like, so I would like to be able to bring on at least, one more full-time person.
Okay. And what would you say then? So those are some really good goals. Perfect for a startup. Mm-hmm. What would you say in that same 12-month span are your two biggest challenges or hurdles that you need to get over? The things that maybe keep you up at night right now?
The long list of things to do, right? Like we've got so much to do because it is a startup still. I mean, I've done a lot of work. I mean, you guys worked with me. You know how much work I was putting in before I ever even started really doing this, right? So I've put a lot of groundwork in and set up a lot of processes and procedures before I really started marketing myself, because I'm a type A personality, and it just made sense that I wanted to have things rolling so that as I started to get busy, because I knew once it kicked off, it was going to be a never ending drum. And I needed to have the back office ready to go. And so I have, but there's still a long list. And now I'm picking up clients and the list is only getting longer.
Yes.
And so that's definitely a challenge. And then the second challenge is keeping myself out of the trenches.
Yes.
So I have to stay as focused as I can on business development and growth and the business, and stay away from actually managing these properties as much as possible. If I get involved in the day-to-day minutia of these accounts that I'm bringing on right now and managing them, then I will not have the time and the energy to grow the business, and I will not be successful. I have to remind myself constantly, I am not meant to be the manager. And that's what I tell the client. Like, I'm selling you me, but I'm not the person that's going to be your account representative. I'm going to be behind the scenes helping that person, but don't like think that I'm going to be your boots on the ground at the property. Because again, I have to stay in the background managing and growing the company.
I love that you said that because Brad, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
It's the difference, and that is such a struggle. When you've got a new business, you're so tempted to do everything, be everything. I think you have to know what to outsource, especially because you don't have the budget when you first start up to be hiring a bunch of people. You have to figure out where are the biggest gaps and what do I need to outsource. And how can I keep myself on top of growing the business on a regular basis versus getting sucked into that hamster wheel that I'm never going to hop off of and hate my business, hate my life, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, because I have stuff all the time that, I could
Yep.
just do it. It might take me 5 minutes, and then it might take me 20 minutes to explain what it is I just did, and then have somebody else do it. But, if you're doing it over and over again, you definitely have to do that. It's worth it, So it's a matter of, figuring out what to delegate, but, it's critical.
I love that you have that mindset because too many entrepreneurs don't, and they just go into it and get, sucked into the business. And the reason that mindset is so important is because as you're focusing on growing your business and things change and things evolve, you're going to continue to need to lean on the most important strategic partners for your business. And one of those, it can be your accountant, right? Mm-hmm. Has to. I mean, they speak the language of business. You have to be able to keep that tie with them as you grow. As a business owner, what advice would you give other business owners when they're looking for the right type of accountant? What would you tell them to look for? And I realize your business is a little different, right? Because you've got accounting services. So let's pretend that you don't. And let's pretend Brad and I were coming to you. We're like, hey, Leslie, we're having some cocktails. We're friends. And, we don't know where to start, what to do. What should we be looking for? What would you tell them?
I think you need to find somebody that understands your business.
Love that. Yes.
I think that, yes, they can understand the numbers, but if they don't understand what you do every day, then they won't understand how to help you with those numbers.
There is so much critical. That. Yeah. We're like grinning ear to ear on that because we tell.
I mean, that really goes to the whole, really, somebody that's niched down and knows your specific area of business, really it speaks to that.
Well, do you feel like an accountant would have a reason to charge more if they represent that value of coming and saying, listen, I get you. I understand your business. I understand the unique challenges you face. I'm not the accountant that does business with every small business owner that walks through my door. Rather, I focus on construction or marketing agencies or community association agencies. Do you think that the value is higher if they've got that niche focus?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they've got that niche and that experience, then it's absolutely more valuable to me.
I love hearing that because Brad, we talk about that. We tell our clients that all the time, helping them niche down.
I mean, there's just so many benefits mostly because of the value.
There's no way you can box yourself in that way. I mean, because accounting, first of all, is like you guys were talking about, right? It can easily be done remotely. Mm-hmm. You can be an accountant to, my company in Florida and then also service somebody over in California.
Yep. Yeah, true.
I mean, you wouldn't want to be the accountant to two competing management companies in the same market. That wouldn't be ethical. But to be the outsourced firm for, in separate markets and such, you're not niched down too much. You can broaden that, across the country easily.
Wait, let me ask you. Let me push back on that a little bit. Why do you say it's not ethical in that situation to as an accountant firm that's working with two businesses in the same market? Why would that not be ethical?
I don't think that you're going to get number one, I don't think you're going to get two business owners of a management company in my business, for example, that are going to want to have the same accountant first of all. in the same market if we are direct competitors. Now, if I'm here in West Palm and somebody's over in Tampa or somebody's down in Broward, I wouldn't care. We're not competing with each other. But if we're directly competing and you have all the inner details of workings of my price margins, my all those things, it becomes a conflict at some point when you're offering advice to your other clients, right? Because you could be giving them the tips and things that I've come up with on my own to help them grow their business that I've worked to develop, because, and you may not even realize that you're doing it. It's just a matter of, you're looking at the numbers going, oh, wow, this worked really well for her. Let me go tell this other person that should work for them too. And so again, outside the same market, the immediate same market, I don't think there's a problem with it. But when they're in, at least for my industry, if you're in the same exact market, then that gets a little, I think, difficult to do.
Such an interesting perspective. Yeah. So I have one final question for you before we wrap up, because this topic comes up with every single firm that we work with, and it's the whole conversation around being proactive versus reactive. I think that we look at transactional compliance, business, tax returns, basic bookkeeping as reactive, and looking in the rearview mirror, which doesn't do business owners like us a lot of good. We need to always be looking out the windshield, right? Which is a lot bigger than the rearview mirror. So how important is it in your mind to be working with an accountant that is proactive about coming to you, reaching out to you and helping you, versus someone that, you never talk to and, you just reach out when you have a question?
Yeah. So again, I mean, I think that that's imperative when this is your livelihood and you've got all your eggs are in this basket. You don't want to find out that you've got a major issue at the last minute. You want to know months ahead of time that you're heading in a certain direction so you can begin to plan and prepare and be strategic about it. So I think it's absolutely imperative, because again, I'm banking on this right now. I'm all in on this. And if I fail, that's my life.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So true. And I think that an accountant as your, sort of informal business partner can really give you that peace of mind and take that burden off your shoulders and kind of, say, I've got you, I've got your back, go do your thing. I'll worry about your financial stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate your time and your insights and your perspectives.
I enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for having me.
So much fun. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. And thank you to everybody for tuning in and listening. And we will talk to you next week.
Bye.